上节课我们we finished the sweating, right? Sweating, and still remember the combination, the pair points for the sweating. We list the 3 pair of points for the sweating. You remember? So spontaneous sweating, right? And night sweating. This one. Kidney 7. The rifle. AE no. Kidney 7. Yeah, nice sweating. We use heart, right? Heart 6.
6. Kid. Yeah. 7.
Yeah, 7. And there's another one, heart 6, and SI 3. Right, this one still good for the night sweating.
Heart.
Yeah, heart 6. Why use heart points? Because the body fluid for the heart, that is sweat, right? Especially for the night sweat, we use heart 6. LI4, this one is good for the exterior syndromes, right? Spontaneous sweating, for example, if the exterior is very deficiency, right? Cannot the qi, the wei qi deficiency cannot hold the body fluid, that is the sweat, then there will be spontaneous sweating. So that's why I use the KI4. Kidney 7, that's an empirical point for the sweating. Right. SI3, that's the empirical point for the sweating. Convulsive. We finished convulsive, right? Convulsive syndromes. Yeah, pathogenic heat still use LI4, KI7 for the sweat. And we clear the heat and use LR2 and GP43. That means the heat from the liver and gallbladder, the damp heat. And you can use SP6, you can use SP, yeah. If there's dampness, you can use the SP9. Then we talk about the convulsive syndrome. If there's convulsive, there's wind, right? In liver wind, we use some point for the wind. See, pathogenic factor communicating the channels. So this point we used, like for the wind, see feng means wind, for the wind. Right, this is still use SI3. Right, related to the GV meridian, right, to the brain. This one enter the brain, GV meridian. Exuberant heat. If heat is strong, very strong, like if people have a high fever, they have a convulsion, high body temperature. Those ones. If there's yin deficiency, yin blood deficiency, or blood deficiency, there will be convulsion. But this one, the convulsions, it's not so like obvious like the high fever. And you will see some like vision problem that because that's the liver wind, liver blood, or liver yin. Right. The eye relate to the liver. So here, very past. Right. In town GV26 or R3, that's P6, CV4, SP10, ST36, KS3. Those ones tonify the qi. Right. This one uses this one to 血海. Yeah, this one usually will use this for excessive syndrome. Right. There's blood heat, blood cold, blood stasis. We use this one. But if you use for like deficiency of blood, you know, still okay. And there's some good way to tonify blood, that is tonify the middle jaw, right? Tonify the middle jaw. Okay, let's see this one, intestinal parasites. Ascariasis is the most commonly say parasite disease. Is the parasitism of roundworms inside the small intestine or other organs of the human body. Most of this, the roundworms. Ascariasis lodging in the intestine. Main symptoms: intermittent pain around the navel umbilicus without obvious tenderness, but with cord-shaped sensation when pressed. Gastric discomfort with acid regurgitation, abnormal appetite, restlessness sleep, teeth grinding during sleeping, frequent salivation, vomiting of ascariasis. Okay. So this one, right? Kids, like the kids, for kids, easy to have this one, right? For like developing country, underdeveloped country, this one is like more, right? For here, what was it? There's this type of disease, but could be better. Let's see. Cord-shaped sensation, gastric discomfort with acid regurgitation, abnormal appetite. They could eat something strange. This one. Restless sleep, teeth grinding, frequent salivation. Okay, this one is very obvious. If vomiting ascariasis, that means there is parasites, right? And Same, right? Same. The parasitism of roundworm inside the human body blocks the intestinal tract, causes a functional disorder of the activities. Disorder of the stomach qi will result in gastric failure, in TNT, transformation and transportation. Treatment principle. The main method are expelling and destroying ascarides while regulating the spleen and the stomach is accordingly cooperated. So we use 迎香400. So this one will use like penetration. You can penetrate from 迎香to 400. Area 20 to ST2. That's the from the experience. And also this one like is in the lower intestine, stomach point. That's the digestive systems. Empirical points for the ascarides and lower intestine, stomach point. And then we use a penetration. We can use a penetration. Jewy, CV15. Jew, that's a bird. Wei means tail. So it's kind of a bird's tail, CV15. So this one used as a local point. And because it's a bird, bird like to eat the worms. Right, so use CV15. So empirical points too. 中脘 CV12, 关元 CV4, 下巨虚 ST39. So this one is what type of special point in which category? This one.
For the intestine.
Lower intestine, right?
Yeah.
For lower intestine. So it's called, what's the name? Lower what?
Lower shoe point.
What's this one called? Can't recall. Lower Hersey, right? Lower Hersey point, right? We have totally, we have 6 lower Hersey point. So for the 4 organs, so that will be lower intestine, right? Lower intestine, lower Hersey, small intestine, TE. So this one will be ST. $37. Right. So ST 39. This one. Here 39. Right, that's a lower Hersey point. And we have Hersey point, we have lower Hersey point. And for the foot young organ lower Hersey point, that's bladder, stomach, bladder, GB. Right. So for this three, that's the foot young meridian, right? Related to foot young meridian. This one, the Hersey point equal or are the lower Hersey point. So this one will be ST36, BL40, GB34. That's the Hersey point, and at the same time, they are the lower Hersey point. Right. So this Hersey or lower Hersey point go for the organs, stomach, bladder, gallbladder. And for this one, the hand, lower Hersey point go for the organs. Right, good for the organs. But their only Hersey point, for example, area 11. Yeah, that's the Hersey point. Usually we would not use the Hersey point for the organ. We use area 11 for the heat, right? For clear the heat, but not for the large intestine problem issues. Instead, we use the lower Hersey point target the organ. Okay, so if there's something wrong of the large intestine, we don't use area 11. We use lower Hersey, stomach 37. Okay, if something wrong with the small intestine, stomach 39, right? TE has bladder 39. And Sainjiao has P6. This one is kind of general, middle jaw. 百虫窝, 百 means 100. 虫 means parasites. War means where they live, right? If translated like directly into English, that means the nest. So nest. This is for the bird. Right. Okay, so from the name, no, hundreds of parasites we use for anything wrong or any like parasites. Okay. Ascaris reaching the gallbladder. The patient has a sudden, severe paroxysmal colic of the region below xiphoid process. And the upper right abdomen, which is so severe that the patient cries, rolls about, bends over, and supposes the painful side with the fist as well as restlessness, cold limbs, and sweating. Right, so for this one, so the roundworms are fond of moving around. They will be liable to move from one part to another inside the intestine and go into the biliary tract. Biliary tract, that's the gallbladder tract. So it's you know, think about it. There's some worms, there's a parasites there. It's so painful, so severe, sudden and severe. Okay, that's this one. So coming ascaris to check pen, followed by expelling ascaris. Still we use 影响 and 400鸠尾 right 日月胆囊穴 胆囊穴 the actual point 胆囊 means gallbladder right gallbladder 穴 means point gallbladder point so this one's still gallbladder 阳陵泉 right 阳陵泉 we just talk about this one for this one's a Hersey point lower Hersey point and this one's good for the gallbladder itself and use 百虫窝 Let's see what happened here. Ascaris is kicking in the intestine. The patient had a sudden, severe paroxysmal abdominal pain, mainly around the navel, accompanied by frequent vomiting, possible vomiting of roundworms, and no defecation in general. No defecation in general. Why? Because kicking, like they are like tangled together, right? They're tangled together over there, and the blockage, there's blockage there. That's why there's no defecation. And let's see. Let's take a look at the general pathogenesis. Roundworms form the shape of a bowl. It's creepy. It will obstruct intestinal tract, developing into abdominal mass of roundworm. Yeah, the roundworm forms a bowl and block in the intestine. Right, so that means you can feel it because it's a mass. You can feel it, and you could see it's moving. Right, there's the ball there, and they are moving. So in the promoting Qi flow, dredging the full organ to disperse and ascarites, followed by expelling ascarites. 迎香四白 九尾 then use 中脘天枢上巨虚 right 上巨虚 what's this one? The special point?
Large intestine.
Yeah, large intestine. Right.
Yeah, excuse me, I have one question. What's the keyword for this case? That's
For
the keyword. If let's see, we see it this one like in the exam. What's the keyword for this situation?
for the parasites?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a special one, very special one. Let's see the first one. Usually the pain will around the navel.
Okay.
Okay, so the location, if epigastric pain will be epigastric region, right? Abdominal pain, or could it be upper abdominal or lower abdominal, right? So this one could be the location. Take a look at the location, and there's just something there, right? The cord-shaped sensation when pressed. You can press there, you can feel like cord-shaped sensation. Still, because it's in the gastric region, right? So there's a gastric discomfort, but focus on the navel. And there's like combining with teeth grinding. This one. So for this one, keywords this one, and teeth grinding. Right, the location, that's in the navel. So if you need to like know this one, it's the parasites, not the epigastric pain, abdominal pain. Right, you need to take a look at this ones, take a look at the location, and take a look at the special manifestations.
Okay.
That's the first one. The second one, this one. This one could be like there will be hypochondric pain. Could be hypochondric pain, or that's because of the, let's see, the inflammation of the gallbladder, or there's stones right in the gallbladder tract. So that one will be kind of similar, still very painful if there's gallbladder stones, if there's inflammation there. Right, for this one, I could see the nature is the same. There's something there. Right. So this one could be because of the parasite, could be because of some inflammation. So for me, although this one could be a little bit hard to tell is there parasite or if there's a stone there. but we know it must be the gallbladder, right? The gallbladder. And this pain is paroxysmal on and off, right? Because why? Because the ascaris, the parasites, they are alive, right? So they keep moving. If they're moving, there will be pain. If they don't move, they just stay there or move backwards, could be feels a little bit better. So I would say like the pain is paroxysmal. And the location, right, is here. And the upper right abdomen, that's the gallbladder, where the gallbladder is. Right, so this one is like a paroxysmal and very, very painful. Let's see. And for the inflammation of the gallbladder, there could be fever. And this one we didn't see the fever, right? If if there's inflammation anywhere in the body, there will be fever. The body temperature will be a little bit higher. And this one, if just the parasites, no inflammation, so there will be no fever. Yeah, that could be a point to distinguish these two types of disease. Right. And for the gallbladder stone or inflammation, so the pain could like radiate to the scapular or the shoulder, the right shoulder. And this one, we didn't see any like pain radiating to the shoulder, right? No. Just to the xiphoid in the upper right abdomen, but not to the shoulder. So this one could be a point for us to distinguish that's parasites, not gallstones, not inflammation. But for this situation, this patient will not come to see you. So will like directly, they will went to the emergency room. If this is so severe. But you need to know, it doesn't matter is gallbladder, gallstone or inflammation or the parasites in the gallbladder tract. The point we use, like use 日月, right? GB points. 胆囊穴is good for the disease we talk about, right? Gallstones or inflammation. And 阳陵泉, right? Gallbladder. So let's see we will still like target the gallbladder. We know that over there, that's the gallbladder. So if for emergency, like while the patient like going to the emergency room, you could use this point. But again, if they have this, so they are so, you know, painful, severe pain, they will directly go to the emergency room. Still, this one same, severe. It's a severe, right? Go to the emergency room, and this one, there's a mass. You can palpate the mass. You can palpate it. It's like a ball over there around the navel, right? The navel is here. You can feel, or the navel is here. So it could be anywhere around the navel. You can feel the mass, and it's moving. So this one definitely will be something alive there, right? That's the parasites. Okay, so next one, we'll talk about the malaria. Still malaria, like here we not many malaria. Yeah, so Western medicine, that's because it's the mosquito, right? The mosquito spread this disease. Malaria is an infectious disease. Clinically characterized by chills, high fever, headache, sweat, and intermittent relapse. So on and off, right? On and off. It results from external contraction of malaria pathogen. Yeah. So that's a parasite. Malaria, that's not virus. That's not germ. That's a parasite, right? Parasites like spread by the mosquito, and it fears the struggle between pathogenic factors and anti-pathogenic qi. Pathogenic factors, pathogens, fight with the anti-pathogenic qi. That's the healthy qi. Right. So in TCM, the virus over there, the bacteria is over there, the fungus over there, even the parasites over there, right, around us in the environment, we call them pathogen, right? We call them pathogen. And this pathogen try to invade our body, and our healthy qi will fight with these pathogens, fight with the virus, germs, right, those ones. Etiology pathogenesis, malaria pathogen invading the body, stays between the interior and exterior. So stay between. So this one we called, right, half. If we use 8 principle, right, 8 principle, this one will be half exterior, half interior syndrome, right? Half syndrome, half syndrome. Struggle between pathogenic factors and anti-pathogenic qi, alternating deficiency and excess, shifting of yin and yang. Then there's leading to malaria. So this one, the general pathogenic factors. That's the pathogen versus the healthy qi. Then there will be deficiency and excess. Then shifting of yin and yang. Same meaning. Let's see the general malaria. Chills, high fever, intermittent relapse, headache, a red face, thirst with a desire to drink water, followed by sweat and absence of fever, and episodes every day or every 2 to 3 days. A red tongue with a thin and white or yellow and greasy coating and very pus. Malaria pathogen stays in Shaoyang meridian, right? Shaoyang meridian, and struggles with the anti-pathogenic qi in yin nutrients and wei defense. So when the pathogen, right? When the pathogen, first they will affect the wei defense level, the wei qi, right? The wei qi. When it affects the wei qi, the patient will feel like kind of chills. Feel the chills, and then try to and then it affects the wei qi, right? So wei belongs to yang, back to the yang qi, so the patient will feel cold. And they come into the body between the interior and the exterior. And it cannot go deeper into the interior. Like it's stuck there between the interior and exterior. And if the healthy qi is strong, try to repel it out of the skin, right? And it will fight with the wei qi again. The fighting is very kind of intense. Then the patient will have a fever. So that's why there's chills and high fever. Chills first and then fever, chills and fever. So not chills and fever at the same times.
Yeah, but this patient can lose a lot of fluid, body fluid, and can be dangerous also, not so easy like this. Some
Why?
people dying for 2-3 days if not don't have a treatment, can be dying because they lose all the fluid of the body.
This one, yeah, could be.
Yeah, malaria, yeah, it's
Right.
very dangerous.
Yeah, see the high fever. There's a high fever, that means that's dangerous. So this one, we just remember, so the pathogens, like it's between the exterior and the interior. It's stuck there. To try to come out, try to go inside. Right? So there will be chills and fever on and off. So this one, every day, right? Every day, like chilled first, then fever, right? Or every 2 to 3 days, right? Chilled and fever. So for half exterior, half interior, we know the pulse is a very pulse, right? Alternate chill and fever and very pulse. These two manifestations are the most like typical. Well, we'll see that's the key manifestations for the half exterior, half interior syndromes. And malaria is one of the Shaoyang syndrome or the half syndrome. So that's why it's alternated chills and fever and very pulse. Right, Shaoyang, that's a gallbladder. Right, think about gallbladder, very pulse. To remove pathogenic factors, stop malaria, and harmonize the exterior and the interior. So GV14. This one for the fever, right? We know this one good for the fever. For the heat, but especially good for the fever. And then this two. These two are the, we'll see that's the empirical points. Okay. Empirical points for the malaria. ARI full, this one. This one for what? Why use ARI full?
For the wind or
Yeah, this one for the wind, and this one still good for the exterior, right? Exterior. And this one good for stop the pain. Several, this one kind of a universal ones, right? For the wind, for the exterior syndrome, right? For the Wei Qi, if the Wei Qi is affected, usually we'll use ARI full, right? And is this one good for the pen? If any pen somewhere, can use this one, universal one. SI3, this one still can use for the malaria. This one, this one, this one. Good for the malaria. For the heat, still good for the heat, for the malaria. Even this one's good for the epilepsy, right? For here, that's target the malaria. PC6. PC6, this one kind of general one. Anything related to the heart, to the mind, we can use this one. So let's see. This one, this one, this one for the malaria. This one for the heat. This one for the exterior. Right. Use this one. That's it for the interior because it's this one. That's the confluent point of the yin linking. Yin linking. Yin linking vessel. Yin LV. Yin linking vessel is like responsible for the interior, right? So that's, I think this one for the exterior, use this one for the interior, kind of for both interior, exterior. So this one is between interior, exterior. Yin linking, right? Yin linking. That's the exterior. Interior, sorry, interior. Yin linking. For any, responsible for any interior. Yin linking vessel. PC6. P5. Right, this one responsible for the exterior. And yin linking, that's for the exterior, interior. Okay. Well, still, let's take a look at any other thing. So this PC6 is that there's a high fever, could disturb the heart mind. So that still can use PC6. Warm malaria. This is the name. This one's general. This one's a warm. So mole fever, because it's a warm malaria. So mole fever, then chills, discomfort, even after sweat. If we have sweating, after sweating, our temperature will go lower a little bit, right? But here, discomfort even after sweat. So that means the heat is strong. Headache, aching muscles and joints, thirst with a desire for water drink, right? Thirst, dark yellow urine, constipation, red tongue with yellow coating, very rapid pulse. So this one's more heat. That's why it's called warm malaria. Like those ones, more fever, thirst, dark yellow urine, constipation, yellow coating, red tongue, rapid pulse. All of this tells you there's strong heat here. A prevalence of young heat from the struggle between the pathogenic factors and the healthy qi. Healthy qi. So to clear heat, relieve the exterior, and remove pathogenic factors.大椎、肩室、桃道， right? 后溪 still use 内关 then use B 曲池 and 外关 right? This one is a kind of a pair, right? These two are pair and this one clear the heat. So the third one, that's a cold malaria. More chills, right? More chills than fever, low-grade fever, alternating with a severe shivering, absence of thirst, no thirst, chest and gastric furnace, and a white, greasy coating and very pus. So this one, right? No thirst, more chills, right? There's a fever, but the fever is low grade. So this one, that's called cold malaria. A prevalence of yin cold and yang deficiency upon the struggle between pathogenic factors and healthy qi. To harmonize the exterior and interior, warm yang, and remove pathogenic factors. Still use Dajri because still there's a heat, right? Because for malaria, there's alternate chill and fever, but still even the fever is not high, but still there's a fever. Then this one for the disease, then use Zhi Yang, GB9, and Qimen or R14. So this two, Zhi Yang, right? Zhi Yang. Zhi Yang, that means we can translate it into like an extreme yang. So that's good for the yang. So we can needle this one. And then liver 14.
Exactly point for liver.
Yeah, that's for harmonize, right? Harmonize. fever, gallbladder, right? 少阳, they use liver 14 for the harmonize. Miasma, malaria. Miasma, heat. This one complicated. There's two types. The first one, that's a heat miasma. See, take a look at the symptom and the signs. Slightly chills. Severe fever, right? Because heat miasma, right? Miasma. So that's a severe. Or high five without chills. High fever. Okay, high fever. High five. High fever without chills, headache, a red face and eyes, chest tightness, thirst, with a desire to drink cold water, dark red tongue. That means that's so strong, this heat, not warm, right? We started the warm malaria. This one's a heat malaria. With a yellow and greasy or dirty dark coating and surging rapid pulse. Full pulse, surging pulse. So that means the heat is even stronger. Miasma invading the body and leading to strains between the yin and yang and preponderance of yang heat. Extreme yang heat. This one will definitely affect the heart mind because the heat is so strong. Okay. So here, high fever without chills. This heat is so strong. Sometimes even there's a slight chills, even and without chills, no chills. To miasma and toxic substance clear heat and preserve body fluids. Yeah, we need to protect the body fluids. The heat is so strong. So still use this one for the malaria, then use Shixuan, extra points. Yeah, you can use bloodletting this one to clear the heat. You can use Shixuan. You can use the Jingwell points, right? Jingwell points. You can use the Area 11, those ones to clear the heat. So this one's a cold miasma, severe chills, slight fever, or chills without fever. There's vomiting, diarrhea, or even coma, delirium, and a white, thick, and greasy coating, very pus. So look at this one. This one even just have a slight fever, but this patient still could be in coma, delirium. Right? So that means this type of malaria is relatively more severe than the types that we talked about. Right, this one stronger than those ones like cold malaria, general malaria, warm malaria. Right, this one, this type is more severe. This type, under this type of malaria, miasma malaria, there's two types. One the heat miasma, one is cold miasma. So for these two type of miasma, patient could have delirium, could have coma, right? That means the shen, the heart mind, is definitely like disturbed. So that means that's severe, right? In coma is severe. Strength changes of yin and yang and internal exuberance of yin cold due to miasma invading the body. So we need to remove the toxic miasma and resolve turbid dampness with aroma. So just don't. Dodgy, those ones, right? The basic points. And use SP9, SP6, and CV8. So CV8, how to use this point, CV8?
For moxa.
Yeah, right. Once using moxa, when you see CV8, moxa, right? We can't need all this one. So that means use moxa. Cold, right? Cold miasma. So that's why we use moxa. To dispel the cold. Fatigue-related malaria. So this one's chronic one. Chronic malaria, easy relapse upon fatigue. When the patient feels tired, then there's easy relapse. Alternating chills and fever, lassitude, shortness of breath, reluctance to talk, a poor appetite, a sallow complexion, emaciation, a pale tongue, and a weak pulse. Emaciation. How to spell? Yes, this one. Emaciation. right? So this one, that's a chronic one, chronic one. The struggle between the pathogenic factor and the anti-pathogenic qi due to persistent malaria consume healthy qi and the remaining of malaria pathogens. So that means the malaria pathogen is lingering there. It's lingering in the body. And the healthy qi is not strong enough to like repel it or to drive them out. So in this situation, the healthy qi is deficient, then it will turn into like chronic malaria. All right. So see this one. Shortness of breath, reluctance to talk, right? Prebitide, cellular complexion, weak pulse, and the symptoms worse upon fatigue. Yeah. Manifestations show, well, it's worse after active. So when you see this one, SOB, don't want to talk, and fatigue, right? Everything get worse after fatigue. So what syndrome you will think about this one?
Spleen.
Spleen?
Qi deficiency.
Yeah.
Qi deficiency, right? But when you say privatized cell, you could think about it could be spleen, right? This one could be spleen. And those ones, fatigue, everything, upon fatigue, shortness of breath, don't want to talk because not enough qi.
Yeah, this is general qi.
Yeah, so this one, that means could be it is affecting the spleen qi, right? Spleen qi, there's affecting the spleen organ. To supplement qi, nourish blood, strengthen the body resistance, and remove pathogenic factors. So still use these basic points and use Ganshu, beer 18, Pishu, beer 20, Susani, ST36, and SP6. So for the malaria, A for the malaria, B that's for tonify liver blood, tonify spleen, right? Spleen, that's the source of qi and blood. ST36, this one's generally tonify, right? The qi. SP6, this one is kind of generally good for the spleen. Malaria with splenomegaly, spleen, right? Splenomegaly. That means there's enlarged spleen. So this one still belongs to chronic malaria. Masses in coastal regions, tenderness with pressure, or distending pain in the hypochondriac region, a sallow complexion, lassitude, emaciation, and a dark purple tone, or with ecchymosis and a thready and a choppy pulse. So let's see, take a look at the tongue and the pulse. From the tongue and the pulse, what do you see here? What do you see here?
Blood stasis or blood stagnation.
Yeah, purple, right? Purple, ecchymosis, choppy pulse. That means there's blood stasis, stagnated blood, right? That means messes. Messes, that means that is the blood stasis or stagnated blood. So chronic malaria leading to chi stagnation and blood stasis, and subsequently mixture of stasis and phlegm. So that means any disease, like if it becomes chronic, if it lasts like for several years, so the situation will be very complicated. It will combine everything, combine the deficiency and excess, could combine the cold and the heat, right? And mostly will be like deficiency and excessive syndrome. Like you will see both of them. So the case will be more complicated. And if the disease lasts a longer time, it's easy to generate blood stasis, phlegm, right? Even fluid. Those pathological products. Pathological products means there's some syndrome first, right? Some syndrome first or some disease first, and then for a long time, the body will generate something else like the blood stasis, the phlegm. So we call the blood stasis, the phlegm, that's the pathological products. So this one, the mess, the blood stasis is very like obvious, right? Obvious. And this tiny pen could tells you there's a stagnation. Not very clear like signs of a phlegm, but it's in this stage, everything could possible. And many messes in the body, that's always like a combination of blood stasis and the phlegm. To soften and dissipate messes, resolve stasis, and remove phlegm. So still use this point for the malaria, then use 葛树, 皮根, and 肛门, 太冲. So let's analyze this one. 葛树, why use 葛树? What special point this one is?
or blood stasis.
Yeah, for blood stasis, because this one is a influential point of blood, right? Okay, Pigen, right? Pigen is the extra point. This one for what? This one is an empirical point for splenomegaly. Okay. Once you see the organs enlarged, can use Pigen. So empirical points for this situation. Zhangmen, liver 13. Zhangmen is special points too, right? This one. This one, that's the and zang organ. That's the influential point
For spleen,
of zang organ. And spleen belongs to the zang organ. And also this one is the femoral point of spleen. Yeah, femoral point. And the influential of zang organs. Yeah, zang organs. 太冲 for what? What's the action of 太冲? Liver 3. Circulate qi, right? This one, we circulate the qi to circulate the blood. And
circulation.
yeah, and we circulate the qi to remove the phlegm. Okay, so that's this prescription. Okay, so let's take a break and then we come back 9 o'clock. Okay, let's start. Atrophy flaccidity syndrome. Wei Zheng. Atrophy flaccidity, that's a Wei, right? Wei. That's the Chinese, right? This one. Wei flaccidity syndrome is a condition characterized by flaccid tendons and vessels, weakness in the hands and feet, inability to perform voluntary movement, and eventually myel atrophy. Myel atrophy, that's the muscle atrophy. Right. Clinically, the patients with Wei flaccidity syndrome sometimes cannot walk because of the flaccidity and the weakness in their lower limbs. Western diseases, multiple radicular neuritis, acute myelitis, progressive muscular atrophy, myasthenia gravis, periodic paralysis, and muscular dystrophy. So many things about the nerves or the muscles. The muscles, that's still because it's the nerves. So let's take a look at the etiology and the pathogenesis. External contraction of warm heat. So that's some virus or something invaded the body. So in TCM, we call it like a warm heat. Then it will go inside. There will be lung heat. The lung heat damaging the body fluids. Or internal attack of water dampness. Give me a second. So the water dampness invaded the body, and in long time, we know any pathogens, if they stay in the body for a long time, the water could turn into heat, right? So water dampness or dampness heat in the body, improper diet, right? The patient like to eat sweet food, greasy food. Still, there will be damp heat generated and accumulated in the body, right? Accumulation of damp heat. So the heat, right? Lung heat, either lung heat or damp heat, there's a heat. And this heat will damaging the yin fluid. Yin fluid in our body, that's a good thing. To nourish the tendons, nourish the muscles, right? So if the yin fluid is damaged, so there will be malnutrition of the tendons and vessels, then leading to waist flaccidity syndrome, atrophy flaccidity syndrome. There's another aspect that's talk about the chronic disease and overexertion, right? So it could damage the spleen, the organs, right? The organs, the viscerals. Then there will be deficiency of the spleen and the stomach, right? Then it will affect the chi and the blood. Or there could be deficiency of the liver and the kidney. That's because like the consumption of essence, kidney essence, right? Kidney essence. And liver, that's blood. Liver and kidney have the same source, right? The blood and essence, right, share the same source. So there together there will be essence or blood insufficiency or deficiency. Not enough good things, essence or blood. So there will be malnutrition of the tendons and vessels, leading to atrophy flaccidity syndrome. So let's see this one. At the very beginning, they all like this one. Warm heat or water dampness or because of improper diet, there will be damp heat, right? Long heat, damp heat, that's excessive syndrome, right? Excessive syndrome. But this heat will damage the yin fluid. So this one, the yin fluid is damaged. It's kind of, think about it, it's a type of yin deficiency, right? It's type of yin deficiency, yin fluid or body fluid deficiency or insufficiency, right? So this one could be a combination of excessive and a deficiency. And this one is a more like a deficient syndrome, right? Deficient interior deficient syndrome. So this one damages the yin fluid. This one, that's the essence, blood. So they all like become not enough. Then not enough cannot nourish the tendons and the vessels. Right. Then there's flaccidity syndrome. Differentiation, let's see, differentiation from the Wei syndrome, B syndrome, and hemiplegia. Did we start the B syndrome? So let's read first. Chief symptoms. Wei syndrome, that's a flaccid and weak limbs and a mild atrophy. And the B syndrome, there will be pain, heaviness, and numbness of the joints. Hemiplegia, that's one-sided paralysis of upper and the lower limbs. So one side of the body cannot move. This one usually that's the we call the sequela of the wind stroke, the stroke. Associated symptoms for Wei syndrome, weakness and mild atrophy of the lower limbs. For B syndrome, long-term impairment of movement with myoatrophy. Okay, so think about this two. What's the difference between this one? B syndrome, right? B syndrome, that for example, there's like the knee pain, arthritis, right? For some people, they have a knee pain for a long time. They call it arthritis. That means there's inflammation of the joints, right? For long-term impairment of movement, right? Because the joint is painful and they don't want to move. And finally, for a long time, the muscles, there will be atrophy of the muscles too, right? Because you need like for some people, they lie down on the bed like too long times, and there will be weakness of the muscles. They cannot walk because too weak. This one is the same, B syndrome. This patient has knee pain, right? So she will try not use this, let's say the right legs, because the right knee is so painful. And if they don't use the muscles for a long time, the muscles will be, there will be weakness, right? So that's the myoatrophy. And this one is like directly because this patient has this disease, right? We syndrome this disease, and directly this patient is like facing the weakness of the muscles. Right? This one is because not enough movement, then there's weakness of the muscle. Hemiplegia, contracture of the hands and feet, and muscular dryness and emaciation of the affected limb. Contracture of the hands and feet, and muscular dryness and emaciation of the affected limbs. This one's similar, right? Because the half body cannot move. So if we don't use that side for a long time, there will be like weakness too. The first one, lung heat damaging the body fluids. Symptoms, fever upon onset, or sudden flaccidity and weakness of the limbs after fever, dry skin, restlessness, thirst, choking cough with scanty sputum, dry throat, dark yellow urine, or a burning pain during urination, dry stools, a red tongue with a yellow coating, and thready and rapid pulse. So you analyze this case, right? a patient cannot walk because there is weakness of the muscle. And this happened just after the fever. Okay, so now the patient is in your office and it tells you these manifestations. Now it's your turn to analyze this information. So what keywords you see here? Like which word? Like you see it like several times.
Here, the high fever damage the vessel, and you get the body lose the fluid, no more fluid.
Yeah, so from
Dryness,
which word? From which word you know?
I have many. Dry skin,
Dry skin, dry,
lymphatic,
dry here, right?
yeah, dry
here.
dry store,
Yeah, scanty sputum, right?
second,
Scanty sputum. So yes, we see many dry, right? So many
and you
dry.
have also dark yellow urine, also burning pain,
Yeah, right.
and
So,
yellow coating,
yeah, yellow coating,
and 3D under
yellow urine, red tongue, right? Thirst, restlessness, right? Burning pain, rapid pulse. So this one, this word, well, tells you there is heat, right? There's a heat. These words. And dry, that means there's heat damaging the body fluid, right? It's dry, right? Damaging the body fluid. And white lung, there's choking, cough, right? So restlessness, this one yellow, red, this one burning, tells you there's a heat. Where is the heat? From the cough, we know that's the lung. So together will be lung heat. Lung heat, then dry, damaging the body fluids. Once the body fluids, we know the general pathogenesis from this one, right? If the body fluid is damaged, then it can not nourish the tendons and vessels, right? Once the tendon and vessels cannot be nourished, this will lead to atrophy flaccidity syndrome, right? It's ready. Okay, it's ready. This one's ready. It's ready. It's ready, rapid. when we talk about the yin deficiency, right? Yin deficiency will be red tongue, scanty coating, thready, rapid pause. So if there's a thready rapid, thready, that means that's a deficient, very weak pause, right? Weak pause, that means that's deficient. Rapid, that means heat. So that means that there's deficient heat. Deficient heat could be yin is damaged. Could be yin deficiency, but this one not yin deficiency, right? If it is yin deficiency, you will see like 5 center heat, night sweats, right? Tidal fever, flushed cheeks. That's yin deficiency. But this one, there's a deficient heat. So this deficient heat, that's because the body fluid is damaged. Yin fluid deficiency. Yin deficiency and the yin fluid, body fluid deficiency. They all could have red tongue, scanty coating, thready, rapid pause. Okay, but the manifestation is different. Manifestation for yin deficiency, that is 5 center heat, night sweat, and tidal fever, flushed cheeks, right? Steam bone. That manifestations here we didn't see. We just see dry, dry, dry. If dry, 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 that will be body fluid deficiency. That means the body fluid is damaged by the heat. So this one, if you see thready rapid pause, that is not yin deficiency. That is yin fluid deficiency. And this heat, this yellow, tells you there's some pathogen. Still, there's some strong pathogens there. So that's the heat pathogens here. So this one, yellow coating, that means that's excessive syndrome. Excessive syndrome means there's pathogens there, the bad things there, too much, excessive. All right, and this pause deficiency, that means there's a deficient syndrome. So this one kind of a combination of excessive syndrome and a deficient syndrome. The body fluids are damaged by lung heat and fail to moisten the 5 zone organs and nourish the tendon and vessels. So to clear heat, moisten the dryness, nourish yin, right? Nourish yin or yin fluid, and promote fluid production. So let's see the point used here. So because the lung, we use some lung points and the backshoe point of the lung. 尺泽, this one good for the heat, right? Good for the heat. And because this is a sun point, right? Sun point, good for the heat, good for the phlegm heat. And also which point we can use to clear the lung heat? For you? Which one?
Value 10.
Yeah, value 10. That's the yin spring point, a good point to clear the lung organs heat, right? So here use the area 11, right? Can use the area 11 here for the lung heat, right? Lung heat. Or that's a backshoe point. You still can use like a front move point, LU1. Front move point, backshoe point, yin spring point for the heat, area 11, generally heat, LU5, the sun point, right? Excessive, we use the sun point, or reducing. And then upper limbs, 肩盂、曲池、合谷、夹脊 in the neck and the chest, right? So 夹脊穴 is called 华佗夹脊. So there's a point along the vertebrae, and so the 华佗夹脊 from the neck and the chest will be responsible for the upper limbs. And these points, right? Those points, okay? This one on the hand, this one's on the cubital crease, and this one, 肩盂, is on the shoulder. So that's the local point along the arms, right? From the hand, cubital crease, and then the shoulder. And 夹脊, that's the we could see that the distal point, kind of a distal point. Right, for the upper limbs, and for the lower limbs, use 闭关 at T31, 风市 GB31, at T36, GB34, that's P6, and still this one, that's the local point on the leg from the thigh to the lower limb. Then use 夹脊. So this is 夹脊, 华佗夹脊 point, lumbar area, right? Lumbar area responsible for the legs, lower limbs. Okay, so let's see A, this group for the lung heat, right? For the lung heat. For the damaging body fluid, which one? Actually, you can use kidney 6 for damaging body fluid, right? Lung, this one, that's for the lung. For the lung heat, right? This one, this one for the lung heat. And damaging body fluid, you can use kidney 6. You don't have to use like all of this point. Just choose like several. Like for this one, just choose LU5 and the BL13, right? For the lung heat. The second one, because the invasion of damp heat. Symptoms: constant low-grade fever, which doesn't abate with sweating. Weakness, heaviness and swelling of the legs, numbness, a feeling of operation in the chest and epigastrium, cloudy urine, a feeling of heaviness of the body, yellow complexion, red tongue, yellow sticky tongue coating, slippery and rapid pulse. Okay, now it's your turn to analyze this case. What are you going to see from here?
Dampness block the conductor.
Okay, so let's start. So what's the key points you
Have heaviness.
oh yeah, heaviness, right? Heaviness. And here there's
Leg numbness.
numbness, right?
Yeah.
Numbness. So heaviness, from the heaviness, what syndrome you will think about?
Yeah, this dampness.
Yeah, the dampness, right? Any other keywords for the dampness?
Yeah. Operation, what the, yeah.
Yeah, right. Operation of the chest and epigastrium operation, feelings, sensations, right? So this one's very important for you to diagnose that dampness, and operation is very important. Operation of the chest, right? Epigastrium. So these two are the keywords for the dampness. And also, if there's dampness, right? Dampness, we know it's very sticky, not clear. So if cloudy, if it is cloudy, you need to think about dampness too. Cloudy. So any other?
Yellow complexion also for the heat.
Yep. Okay. Yellow complexion. That's the dampness. If a heat will be
Red down, yes.
red complexion, right? So it's yellow, usually that's dampness too.
And sticky also.
Yep. Sticky. Dampness. Pulse, from the pulse.
Yeah, repeat the part that we hit.
Slippery, right? Slippery. That's the dampness. So for dampness, heaviness, operation, cloudy, right? Yellow complexion, sticky, slippery. That's the dampness. Okay, so we found many words manifestations of the dampness. Now let's take a look at the heat. Which one?
And the fever.
Yeah, low grade fever.
Sweating.
Nope. Sweating doesn't abate with sweating.
Okay.
Okay. So even there's sweating.
It's not.
But after sweating, usually after sweating, the fever will be, the patient will feel better, right? But this one doesn't work. So this one actually, if this happened, doesn't abate with the sweating, that still means it's not just the heat, that's damp heat. Something sticky there, lingering there.
What about swelling of the leg? That's gonna be keyword for the heat or for the damp?
Damp.
Yeah,
Swelling,
okay.
that's the damp. Then tiny pulse. Let's see the tiny pulse.
Red tongue, rapid pulse.
Yeah, red tongue, rapid pulse. That's the heat, right? Yellow coating, right? Yeah, yellow coating. Coating if it's yellow, that's the heat. If a complexion yellow, dampness. Okay, so from here, dampness, heat. So the syndrome will be damp heat. Blockage of the channels and collaterals by an accumulation of damp heat in the affected area due to environmental dampness or being drenched in rain. Okay. Environmental dampness, that means there's something right in the environment, right? Some virus or fungus or something, bacteria, right, invaded the body. In TCM, this type of bacteria, virus, or fungus, we call it dampness pathogen. Rain, right? If in the rain is like moist, dampness.
老师，那个 sticky tongue coating 这是代表是热吗？还是 dampness？
You can use slippery. Sticky, that is kind of slippery.
哦，
Slippery, that's the dampness. Sometimes I use glossy. Not glossy is too like not a good word. Right? Mostly use sticky or slippery. Sticky, right? Very sticky. We know dampness is very sticky. Right? Dampness. Slippery, same. There's too much water, and the water is type of sticky natured water. That's called slippery. So these two are same, right? Same. That means dampness. Okay, so very good. Now you know how to analyze, right? How to analyze the case. You see heaviness, operation, right? Cloudy, right? And sticky, slippery. Oh, there's dampness here. And at the same time, you see red, yellow, right? Rapid pulse, that's the heat. Okay, we combine them together. Damp heat syndrome. If you don't know like invasion of damp heat, you can just see, okay, this one, that's because of the damp heat. What syndrome is it? Damp heat syndrome. Right? You don't have to see like invasion of damp heat syndrome. Just see, okay, damp heat syndrome. Easy, right? Easier. Clear heat, remove dampness, clear the meridians, channel the meridians. Let's see the points. Yin Ling Quan, SP9, and Da Zhui, GV14. So you analyze these 2 points for what? This one? Well,
First one for the dampness.
yeah, this one good for the dampness. And this one?
heat.
Yeah, the heat, especially if there's a fever, right? We use GV14. And
合在一起就是这叫湿热吗？可以这么用，可以
right,
它俩合在一起用。
yeah, damp heat with a fever, right? Damp heat, and there's a fever. Still, you still can use the area 11, clear heat. That's the heat generally. This one, for the heat, especially for the fever, right? The fever and the heat, they're slightly different, right? Slightly different, right? Like a patient has heat, like he doesn't have to have fever, right? But if the patient has a fever, he must have heat in the body. Is that right? Think about these 2 sentences.
是哦，老师是湿会体现这叫身热不阳吗？还是怎么着？我忘了。
Itchy mean itchiness 痒，身上痒。
不是，就是湿热，然后容易引起这叫什么？身上就是叫身热不阳，还是
哦哦，身热不阳。This
对
one，这个其实不属于身热不阳。身热不阳的话，它是你摸它的皮肤，你首先感觉不到热，但是你再摸一会儿呢，时间久了，你就会觉着它这个热度就上来了，你就感觉到是有热的，这叫身热不阳。这个呢，就是说，其实这个也是一种湿热的表现。这种湿热的表现呢，就是说它有 dampness 在那儿，它的这个热呢，它那个热，它就算是 sweating 的时候，这个病邪是出来的，对吧？出表的，它应该说它一般的正常情况下 sweating 之后呢，它这个温度应该是会下降的，
对，
对吧？因为它这个邪气出来了嘛，随着汗液。
嗯，
但是因为有这个 dampness，它就出来的它就没有那么顺畅，它就是一下子就把它就是 block 住了那种感觉，就把它就是阻碍在那个地方的那种感觉，所以它会出现这种情况。但你只要是看到这种，还有就是身热不阳，这就是 damp heat。OK。
OK，
Okay, so this one for the damp heat for the syndrome. Then, because atrophy, right, the limbs cannot move, too weak. So we use this local points for the upper limbs. And then we use this ones, local points for the lower limbs.
这跟治偏瘫的那个差不多是吧？上眼支的那个需要，
对，没错。
都是肌肉就叫什么疲软无力，然后
对，这个偏瘫的话，它是有一些 contraction，就是它是那种你看过偏瘫的人，他都是手脚收缩的那种感觉，contraction 那种感觉，对吧？他的手就是
就是鸡爪一样，它那么
对，
使劲。
那就叫 contraction，contracture，right？但是它如果是这种 weakness，if just a weakness，there will be no contracture that look. It's very like more, flaccidity, right? Flaccidity is very kind of soft. The muscles are soft, and hemiplegia, the muscles is like tight, kind of tight. But you can use the same point. You can use the same point. And you will notice some point is from large intestine, right? Stomach. So why use large intestine, stomach, those point? Mostly. While not use like P point or long point, because there are many long point on the arms too. Why not use long point?
阳明经多气血嘛。
Yeah, right. Because that's Yang Ming, right? Large intestine, stomach. That's Yang Ming meridian. Yang Ming meridian. They are like full of qi and blood. And when we like treat the atrophy syndrome, we like to use the meridian full of qi and blood. Okay, there could be question asking you, okay, why we use large intestine point, stomach point? Yeah, the answer is because Yangming meridian are full of qi and blood. And for the atrophy syndrome, we prefer the meridians full of qi and blood. Okay. So from this one, there will be like deficient syndrome. So like read this case yourself and analyze this case to find out stomach spleen deficiency. Is there any like keywords, key symptoms?
I have here a spleen.
Yeah, so okay, spleen, let's say spleen, which key manifestations tells you that spleen involved here?
Poor appetite, loose stools, and swallow complexion.
Complexion. Yep. Okay. Right.
And we have short breathing, over breathing.
Okay, shortness of a breath. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, here. Right. Shortness of breath. That tells you what? What is deficient?
Qi.
This one tells you the organ. That's a spleen organ, right? And when we think about deficiency, how many type of deficiency syndrome?
气血阴阳
Qi, blood, yin, yang,
essence.
right? Or
Body fluid.
body fluid, right? Which is a starting one, body fluid, right? The first one, body fluid deficiency. Body fluid. So shortness of breath, that's which one?
Yeah, because the lung is it's linked for all the organ. Can be by spleen because it work together by the spleen.
Spleen, yeah, this is spleen. And this one, that's which deficiency? Qi, blood, yin, yang deficiency, this one?
气
Yeah, that's the qi deficiency, right? Not enough, qi. So that's why there's shortness of breath.
Yeah, the lung can be weak.
No, don't think about the lung. Now,
Okay.
no, because you didn't see cough, dyspnea. If you see cough, dyspnea, that's the lung.
Okay.
Right? If you just see shortness of breath, tiredness, That's the qi deficiency. Okay. If you like your diagnosis that is lung, you have to see like cough,
Okay.
yeah, asthma,
Dyspnea,
yeah, like these words. Right, right. So here we didn't see like cough, dyspnea, asthma. So that means don't think about lung. Think about spleen. Prebitide, loose stool, spleen. Shortness of breath, that's qi. So could it be spleen qi deficiency, right? Spleen qi deficiency. And this one, that's slow onset, gradual. Just, this word tells you what? Chronic,
chronic
chronic muscle,
gradual, right? This one tells you that's a deficiency, right? That's a deficiency. If excessive syndrome, either there will be acute, severe. Yeah, it happens suddenly, right? If excessive, and if a slow onset, gradual and chronic, like last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, usually that's a deficiency, right? Deficiency syndrome. And here, weakness of the limb. Yeah, we know. Atrophy, right? Atrophy, sure, there will be weakness of the limbs, muscle atrophy. But when we like talk about the limbs, right? Talk about the muscles, you can still think about which organ. Which organ you will think about? If they emphasize on the limbs and muscles,
spleen.
yeah, still spleen, still the spleen, right? Spleen responsible for the forelimbs and muscles. And the puffiness, official puffiness, could be too much water. So still could be because of TNT, spleen's TNT function, cannot TNT the water in the body, right? So pale tongue, thin white coating, that's kind of a normal coating. We don't need to think about this one. The pale, that's a deficiency, thready and weak, right? That's deficiency. Could be qi deficiency, could be blood deficiency, or qi and blood deficiency, all possible. So for this one, the tiny pause just to tell us, okay, this one, that's a deficiency, but we don't know that's a qi deficiency or blood deficiency. Could it be both, right? Could it be both? Because if there's a qi deficiency, there will be blood deficiency. If there's a blood deficiency, there will be qi deficiency. So this one is said spleen, stomach and spleen deficiency, but we know from the case itself, the focus on the spleen deficiency. If the spleen is deficient, the middle jaw is deficient, then could be there's qi and blood deficiency. Qi and blood deficiency, qi and blood, especially blood, cannot nourish the tendon, right? Yeah. Still don't forget, when you analyze, don't forget the general pathogenesis, right? In fluid or blood deficiency cannot nourish the tendon vessels. So for this case, we know there's a spleen deficiency. There is a blood deficiency. So let's see the general pathogenesis. The spleen failing to provide a sufficient source of qi and blood production, right? So that means there's a qi deficiency, there's blood deficiency. And from the case, high possibility that this patient has a spleen qi deficiency. Then there's the T and T function is not good. Then there's blood deficiency. And this blood cannot nourish the tendons, right? The tendons, then leading to atrophy flaccidity syndrome. Right? To supplement qi, spleen qi, and strengthen the spleen, use axial point, spleen and stomach, and a CV12. And the other point you could like add to here. Any other point you want to add here?
Thomas 37.
The 36
Ah, sorry.
and 36, right? 36.
But you have it already.
Yeah, already here, right? Already here. PC6. Yeah, for the middle jaw, right? We know that's the combination of the middle jaw. Middle jaw, that's the source of qi and the blood. So we tonify the middle jaw, or we tonify the middle jaw, the spleen and the stomach for the qi and the blood. Also, you can use it because of qi, right? Qi, we can use the CV. Which one? Qi deficiency?
Yes.
Yeah, CV6. That's a very good one. To tonify qi, to tonify the blood. And also for tonify, supplemented spleen. Any other point you will use for good for the spleen?
SP6, you have it already here.
SP6 and SP3, right? SP3, the yuan source point, right? Yuan source point, good for the organ. Yuan qi, right? Source qi, original qi. That's why it's called yuan source point. SP6, yes. And this one is on the feet, right? On the feet. So good for the lower limbs, especially if the lower limbs there's something wrong, we can add SP3. Right, SP6 can generally tonify spleen. Okay, take a look at this one. Now, sure you can analyze the case, right? Try to analyze the case yourself. Okay. Let's start.
Yeah.
Okay. So here tells you that's the liver and the kidney. So any keywords you found here? Any keywords you found here?
The softness and the weakness in the lumbar regions and the knee joints.
Yeah, in the lumbar region and the knee joints.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that tells you which organ.
Kidney.
Right, kidney. Yes. Okay. And
nocturnal emissions.
nocturnal emissions or in urices.
Yes, kidney and the tinnitus.
Yeah, kidney, right? Kidney.
And the irregular menstruation.
Menstruation, yeah, irregular menstruation.
Also liver.
Yeah, it could be related to the liver, could be related to the kidney. But the kidney, liver and kidney, they have very close relationship, right? The blood and the essence, same source. Yep. Okay, so then let's take a look at the tongue and the pulse.
Is insufficiency.
From the tongue and the pulse, let's right tongue.
The tongue, scanty, rapid pulse.
Okay. So kidney organ, right? Kidney organ, the liver organ, if you combine with this tongue and pulse, even you didn't see like 5 central heat, those ones, there's a very high possibility that's the liver kidney yin deficiency, right? So here, slow onset gradual deficiency, especially the lower limbs, right? Especially the lower limbs. Still, that's because kidney, right? Kidney, lower limbs. Gradually, vertigo, tinnitus, or could be still related to kidney, right? The essence, the yin deficiency.
但是在这里没找到这 liver，就是跟它特别明显相关的这个。
Yeah, this one, sometimes it's like a habit. When they talk about like the kidney yin deficiency, like always combine that's the liver kidney yin deficiency, because these two organs, especially if there's a kidney yin deficiency, it's always involved with liver yin deficiency. So it's like a habit, or it's like the experience, right? The experience, these two always like together. And in your case study, like theoretically, when you do your questions, like when you read this, you didn't see like a very clear liver signs, right? You can just use like kidney essence deficiency, right? And also in the thing about the disease, this disease is about the atrophy flaccidity, right? And we know the liver relate to the blood, and the kidney, that's the essence, right? If for this atrophy, let's see, go back here. The general, let's see. Could be essence, blood together. There's insufficiency, and usually the blood is very important, right? For nourish the tendons and vessels, right? So that means for this disease, that's a high possibility that's liver and kidney all involved.
老师不好意思，他这里他不是也有这种肌肉的萎缩、站立不久，而且这种月经不调，其实跟脾的也有点像吧？
它只要它没有非常明显的脾的这个 manifestation，没有什么 loose stool 或者 peptide，你就不用去想 think about the spleen。
OK，
你一看这个 keyword 是 lumbar region 那个 knee joints，那 kidney， right？ And menstruation mostly they relate to the liver， right？ 其实 menstruation 也是一个非常就是 liver 的一个表现吧。
OK，
为什么？因为这 blood 嘛 ，right？ Blood menstruation relate to the blood, more relate to the blood, so that's the liver blood. So this one together could be the liver kidney together.
那这个还是算肝肾阴虚。
肝肾阴虚。
OK。
So let's see. 这是怎么写的 ？Malnutrition of the tendons and muscles resulting from overstrain or insufficiency of the essence in the blood in the liver and the kidney after a long illness. OK， 这些到了最后，它精血同源。So the essence of blood they share the same source, right? So that means if this one's not good, that one, well, definitely not good. If blood not enough, essence not enough. If essence not enough, blood not enough. And you still think about the relationship between the liver and the kidney. Right? Usually, well, when there's a kidney insufficiency, essence deficiency, there could be liver blood deficiency.
Don't forget here you talk about chronic disease. That's a chronic disease. It's normal to be like this, no?
This one, chronic disease?
Yeah, this, what we talk atrophy flaccid syndrome. This is chronic deficiency, no? Disease.
Yes, right. Chronic, slow, gradual, chronic, that's deficiency. Okay, this one's the pure deficiency syndrome, this one. Okay, so we tonify the liver, kidney, right? This one's still good for the kidney. Then same point here, right? Tonify liver. With tonify liver, which point you could use to tonify liver, right? For this one, they use the Baxter point and the Yuan source point. This one, just the Baxter point. What other point you could use?
Can I do better point by liver 14?
Liver 14? Liver 14 no. Liver 14 is on the abdomen.
Oh, 3.
Liver 3.
Have it,
liver 3, that's a
liver.
that's a very good one. But I need to point out here. Liver 3, right? So like a kidney 3, that's the Yuan source point. Yeah, but for liver, usually we will use liver 8 instead of liver 3 to tonify liver. Right? Liver 3, we use it to circulate the liver qi. That's a good point to circulate liver qi. And so we use liver 8 instead of liver 3 to tonify liver. But if you see liver 3 can tonify, nourish liver, yes, it can, because Yuan source point. but like generally we use liver 8 instead of liver 3 to tonify liver. Okay. Okay, so we will continue this Thursday to finish this part. And that's for today. Okay.